Bro, what happened to your eye? Has anybody else mentioned what your eye looks like? That's not good. You look like you got a peanut allergy or something. Like, you shouldn't be eating whatever you ate. Look at your eye. Do I want to tattoo my eye? No, I don't want to tattoo my eyeball. You shouldn't have tattooed your eyeball. You probably need to go to the hospital. Like, you're probably going to go blind. Yeah, I see where it's black. I also see where there's yellow and green stuff coming out. Like, you look like an infected frog. Like, you paid someone to do that? You trusted somebody in here to stick a needle into your eyeball? You've got to be the stupidest motherfucker. Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, let's live life, and we're back. I told you we was going to get into the love beads, prison modifications, some of the crazy things I seen dudes do to themselves when they were bored. Tattooing your eyeball became a trend. And it went terribly, terribly wrong. Implants, putting things under your skin. And anybody watching this that's done time can say, yeah, I remember back in 04, 05, 06, dudes was doing crazy stuff like that. It's one thing if you want to do something like that and you go to a professional. You go to somebody on the streets that was taught to do this. You do not want to go to a dude that's locked up, drug charges, God knows got what disease, was a professional thief on the streets, and I entrust him to do something like tattoo your eyeball. To entrust him to cut you and implant something under your skin so that you can get out and show everybody. And then you got to explain to him how while you were locked up, this, first of all, got under your skin, why it's under your skin, and what you were thinking. We'll start off today with the tattooing of the eyeballs. This is next level, light years ahead of stupidity. Google images of people that have tattooed their eyeballs. It can actually work under supervised, in a professional environment with someone that knows what they're doing. Prison is not the place to intentionally stick something in your eye. And on top of that, why would you want black eyeballs? As if you don't already look like a demon. Most of these dudes I've seen do this, most of them had heavy tattoos on their face. The one dude I'm going to tell you about, we'll get into some of his tattoos. People blow my mind. Now, I have nothing against face tats. I don't. And one of the main reasons I didn't tattoo my face is because my mother asked me not to. Call me what you want. Mother came to the prison one time, and by now I'm completely inked up. I got a full shirt, my legs are done, everything, armpits, all that. She said, do me a favor. And I never intended on inking my face. I come close. She said, don't put no tattoos on your face. Oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? Whatever. I've had tattoos since I was young. She's like, at least let me bury my son and be able to see his face. So I never tattooed my face. Some of these dudes, it's a bad day when you're putting a cover up on your face. It's a bad day when you're covering up a tattoo with another tattoo on your face. Yeah, let's get into these prison modifications, body modifications. These are rocket scientists I was locked up with. You know I'd have seen it. You know I'd have lived it. It's a damn shame. So let's relive it. When it comes to prison hustles, tattooing is by far one of the greatest hustles you can do. Next to selling drugs or doing something highly illegal, it's going to get you more time in prison. Tattooing will make it where you can eat and you can eat good. Have plenty of money on your books. We should call it strapped up, man. He's strapped up. I mean, he's got money on his books, plenty of food in his locker. I love tattooing. Tattooing got me through. Tattooing connected me with a lot of the guys in the stories that I tell. Tattooing fed me, and I came home, my pockets was fat. I had more money in my pockets coming out of prison than I had saved while in prison than the majority of the people around me when I got out at that time. Tattooing go good, it can go bad. I've seen dudes get extorted. The gangs dig their claws into them, and they give in. Now all day long they're doing gang tattoos. I wasn't one of those guys. I stand my ground. To this day, I stand up for what I believe in. I wouldn't do just any tattoo. If you were young, had a brain in your head, you came to me and you wanted a face tattoo, I'd take one look at you, try to figure out if you were going to be the next Lil Wayne, if you were just a moron, or if you had a brain. And if I thought you were somewhat intelligent, I'd try to talk you out of it. Look, man, you shouldn't do your face. Plus, I don't do tattoos that cheap. I'm not the cheap guy in the pod. If you want a face tattoo, go over there and holler at dude. Holler Bobby. I'm not him. I'm not tattooing your face. If you already had tattoos on your face, the price is right, what's it gonna hurt? You know what I mean? You already look like an Etch-a-Sketch. Let's jump into it. I wouldn't do racist tattoos. Don't come to me trying to get no swastika. I'm not doing it. Don't come to me trying to get no bolts. I'm not doing it. Don't come to me trying to get no phrases on you that put anyone else down or that are part of any hate group. I'm not doing it. I'm not having dudes come to me or see it. You walk around with a big old swastika on your back, and everybody thinks I'm racist because I just put a big ass swastika on your back. People walk up to me on the table sitting out the pod, and I'm sitting there drawing a backside swastika. Not doing it. Not tattooing butt cheeks. Not tattooing any penises. Not tattooing any of that weird shit. Miss me with all that. There were dudes that if price was right, there were dudes that just were broke, and price didn't have to be right. They would do it. I knew a dude you could walk right up to him, pull it out, and say, hey, I want to put a tattoo on this. He'd be like, let me see. He'd stretch his skin and he'd get the tattoo on it. True story. Not my thing, man. I don't know. I got to stretch skin. I got to hold it. I don't want to see it. No, I'm not doing that. Throughout the years, I'd seen tattoos go bad, tattoos go good. I'd seen guys that could tattoo, guys that just wanted to eat and really couldn't tattoo. You see it all. And then Damien shows up. Damien came from another prison. I don't think Damien was originally from Virginia, and I would come to find out later down the line that Damien's real name wasn't even Damien. I think his nickname was Damien because he was trying to be like the Omen, like he wanted the nickname of the Antichrist. This dude's face was blasted with ink. But aside from the fact that he had an upside down star, like a pentagram, in the center of his forehead, an upside down cross under his eye, and other demonic tattoos, horns tattooed up on his head that like went up on his head and wrapped around, that were actually sweet looking, just not something I would get. Aside from all that, Damien had tattoos that set him into a whole new category of everybody that where I was at. Damien's eyeballs were tattooed black. I don't mean the center black. I mean his entire eyeball was tattooed black. Wherever Damien was at prior to this, got his eyes done. Told guys, I've done them, ain't no big deal. A lot of dudes where I came from got their eyes tattooed black. Blew my mind the first time. Like when I walked by him the first time he came to pod and I kind of looked over and we made eye contact, I thought I was tripping. You know, you walk by somebody and their eyes are solid black. It takes you a second for your brain. It's like you have to take a double take. Your brain doesn't pick it up right away because that's not normal. You know what I mean? You walk by and see a guy with an arrow sticking through the side of his head, you have to look a couple times before you fully accept it. This dude's got an arrow going through his head. That's how I was seeing Damien for the first time. He come in the pod, I don't know, I guess in the middle of the night. They moved him in while we were all locked down. We passed each other in the pod and I noticed him, first of all, because he's a new face. He's a new guy in the pod. Secondly, because he has a whole bunch of ink plastered all over his face and on his head, bald head. But as I'm looking at him and trying to, you know, figure, have I done time with this dude anywhere? Do I know him? The hell's he got on his face? I noticed the eyeballs. Man, it looks like this dude's eyes are black. A little bit later that day, in passing, I noticed again. I said, yeah, his eyeballs are definitely black. He wouldn't be long, he would come over to my cell. He said, look, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. My name is Damien. All right, what up, Damien? Not an uncommon name. I heard a name before. I had a cousin named Damien, too. What up, Damien? He said, I ain't trying to step on nobody's toes. I asked my celly who the tattoo man in here was, which is common respect. You do that. Don't come in here and think you're just going to take over what I do for a living, take money out my pocket, make it hard for me to eat. But the thing at where I was at the time, there was so many dudes that wanted tattoos. Not everybody could afford me. The other dude that was doing tattoos at the time was straight garbage. Like, he drew like a 5th grader and not a smart 5th grader. And his tattoos looked worse than his actual drawings. So I told Damien, I said, look, man, nah, you do all you want. You any good? He started showing me stuff he had done on himself. Dude was a beast. Like, he was official. Like, this dude was nice. One of the nicest on the compound at the time. I told him, yeah. I said, look, if you ever want to swap work, I'm a tattoo artist. I'm not paying for work. If you ever want to swap work, I'll tattoo on you. You tattoo on me. I got my own ink, my own gun, my own needles. Like, I don't let nobody use nothing on me of their own. I use my own stuff because I'm trying to go home disease-free, not trying to catch hepatitis. Bet. I'm still trying to figure out a way to bring up the whole eyeball thing as we're standing there talking, right? Dudes who he's asking me who's good money, who's bad money, meaning are there any dudes in here that if he tattoos, you got to worry about not paying him, and we'll go down the reins and the lines of all them dudes. And then I just asked him, I said, yo, your eyeballs are tattooed? Like, did you get some contacts or are your eyeballs actually tattooed? He's like, no, my eyeballs are tattooed, bro. He's like I said, a lot of dudes where I was at, we started doing it years ago. A lot of guys got their eyeballs tattooed. He's like, bro, I've done eyes red. I've done them completely blue. I've done them black. He's like, you'd be surprised. Yeah, I've tattooed plenty of eyeballs. So there's some weird dudes in here. And I'm sure once dudes realize you know how to tattoo an eyeball, they're going to want you to tattoo the eyeball. I said, can you put like other things in the eyeball? Like say somebody wanted a money sign on the side of the eyeball. He said, no, you can't do that because it's going to bleed. Once it goes under the initial layer of the outside of your eyeball, he said, it spreads. I said, okay. He's like, it's a tedious process. You got to be careful. Can't anybody just do it, but I can do it. Okay. Got no reason not to believe him. His eyeballs are black. He's got experience in this. His eyeballs are black. As I'm looking at him, all I can think is how bad it must hurt. And I've got some tattoos in some painful spots. My armpits were terrible. My rib cage starting from my armpit all the way down to below my boxer line was terrible. 20 hours, it took almost 20 hours to do my entire side. But your eyeball, how does that feel? How do you even tattoo somebody's eyeball? If you just try to touch your eye's automatic reaction is to try to close. You know, if you've ever put contact in, instantly your eye wants to close. So you got to sit there and stretch your eyeball wide open and tattoo it. Damien jumps right into the mix of things. Fits right on in there with all the other crazy dudes with tattoos on their faces. Starts his tattooing up, gets his gun, burns his soot, makes his ink. Doing beast work on dudes. Did a couple pieces, did the back of my one arm, a couple pieces on my back. Amazing artist. I'll show you some of his work one day. He comes to me one day with a request that I wouldn't say was out of the ordinary. Like I told you, I've been here quite a while now. It wasn't out of the ordinary, but when he told me what he needed, the first thing that came to my mind was, all right, this dude's a junkie. He's got to be a junkie. Comes to me one day, and he's been in here now better part of a month. Maybe a little bit longer. Everybody's seen his eyes. Everybody's questioning about his eyes. I'm still under the impression that this son of a bitch is tattooing people's eyeballs. Jay, can you get me a needle? Like a sewing needle? Like a needle, like a water gun. You want a syringe? Yeah, I need a syringe. Lights start going off in my head. What would you think? First thing I think is, damn, dude's a dope fiend. Ironically enough, Damien was a dope fiend. Yeah, I need a syringe. I mean, yeah, for the right price, I can get my hands on it for you. I mean, damn, I didn't know you was, you know what I mean? Like, dudes ain't want to mess with you if they know you're getting high. You know that, right? Now, I'm not getting high. I don't need it to get high. Damn, what did you, diabetic? They take care of that at medical. Nah, I'm going to do my celly's eyeballs. I told you at this point, I'm still under the impression the man is tattooing eyeballs, which that is the term. I'm gonna do my celly's eyeballs. Why you need a syringe? Well, that's how you do it. You take it and you inject it between one layer of skin and into another one. What? Did you just tell me that you're gonna inject a syringe into your cellmate's eyeballs? That's how I did mine. That's how everybody gets theirs done. You can't tattoo you. Oh, you thought I was like gonna tattoo it with a tattoo gun? Nah, that shit will blind you. That shit will tear your eyeball out your head. You can't do that. You gotta get a syringe and go to an area and push a little bit in, and then go to another area and inject a little bit in, and it goes in between the two layers. This is crazy. Until you're done. After he tells me this, it takes a little while to sink in what this dude told me. This son of a bitch just told me he's gonna stick a syringe into his cellmate's eyeball. You ever heard the expression stick a needle in your eye? Like, this is the exact definition of it. I'm anxious to see this whole thing take place. I said, yeah, as long as, look, you care if I watch when you do it? I want to see this. I've seen some gruesome things, some graphic things. I need to see this. I told you in the other story when I stabbed dude in the shoulder, I thought that was crazy. I ain't never seen nobody put a needle in their eye. Yeah, you get it for me? I said, all right, boom, I'll get you one. So I get it. And let me break down the syringe process in prison. I've done this before. I'm going to do it again. It's not anything you want any parts of. To get a brand new syringe is very, very rare. What dudes are doing is they're going over medical, and you got your diabetics. Just because you go to prison doesn't mean you stop being diabetic. You got to go over there every day, get your insulin shot. After they give you the insulin shot, they take the needle out, they put it in the little red, hazard box, and it drops down in there. These things would get so full that you could take your hands, stick it in the box, and grab a whole bunch of needles out. That's what dudes are doing. They bring them back, run water through them, run bleach through them, and they sell all day. So you catch one of the old dudes going over to medical. Hey, you going over medical today? Yeah, I got to get my diabetes shot. Hey, you get a chance, like, grab a needle off the cart, grab one out the box. That's what dudes are doing. I holler at old dude, brings me back to syringe. I take it to Damien. Damien tells me, after count tonight, I'm going to start, I've already got my ink and everything made up. I'm going to start doing my celly's eyes. You said you wanted to watch, right? I'm like, yeah, I want to watch. Count time clears. Guys are getting ready to go to rec. I go over to his cell. He's got a dude sitting out in the pod that watches for the police come in. Police come in, first thing he's going to do is hop up and go, whoop, whoop. Make a whoop noise, let everybody know, hey, the police are in here, stop what you're doing, clear out, they're going to catch you if you continue. We call him a hawk. The hawk sets up in position. I go over there with Damien in his cell. He's got his celly laid back on the bunk. He's got this man's eye stretched out. He takes the syringe, puts it in the ink, pulls it up inside, pulls the plunger back, tells you, ready, you're going to feel a pinch. And he ever so gently pushes it in and squirts a little bit of the ink. Pulls it out, tells him, wait a second, don't touch it, just let it set a minute. Dude's telling him, my eye burns. He's like, it's all right, just wait. I sit in there and I watch him do this man's eyeballs. Now, this was a process that he didn't do it all at once. I think that first day he did like maybe a third of the one eye and a third of the other eye. He said, let that heal, then we'll go back in. That was all I needed to see. Now I know it's possible. I ain't never attempted it. I'm not ever going to attempt it. That's an area you don't mess with. Goes off without a hitch. Damien is now tattooed his cellmate's eyeballs. That's what we called it. Guys see this. Everybody sees this. Now Damien ain't the only one with these eyes. His cellmates got them as well. Couple other dudes come in. They get these jelly roll pens. For y'all, a lot of y'all don't know about these things. There are these pens called jelly roll, and they have pigmented ink in it. Pigmented ink is an ink that will stay in your skin if applied. A regular ink pen, that ink will not stay, and it's toxic. You can tattoo somebody with the ink out of a regular ink pen. As soon as they shower, the whole tattoo's coming off. He gets a hold of these jelly roll pens. Him being a tattoo artist, he hollers at somebody, they bring him a whole bunch of them. You take the pen, pop the tip out, blow inside the tube. The ink comes out the tube, goes into a toothpaste cap. Now you've got color, right? Total, there was 5 guys total out the whole time until this, like we always know, ends bad, that he had done. There was Damien, his celly, 2 other dudes, right? The fourth dude he does color in his eyes. Dudes are all over this. I had heard gang members and stuff talk about, cuz I'm gonna get my eyes done blue. Then I'd heard other dudes, yo, I'm gonna get my eyes done red. They were all talking shit. Once they realized this man had to stick a dirty syringe, because he's using the same syringe that he used on his cellmate, and the guy after his cellmate, and then that guy, he's using that syringe on you as well. Not to mention, you don't know whose syringe that is to begin with. For all you know, the guy that used that syringe initially could have HIV. But hey, some water and some bleach and we're good, right? Hell no. Damien's done this. Now we get a guy that comes from upstairs, like this is a completely different floor, down to our pod to start doing his eyeball process. Man wants to get his eyeballs tattooed. I've told y'all, it always ends bad. He comes down, Damien does his stuff, and over a course of like a week, Damien does the first eye. It's better if you live in the pod because you don't have to try to sneak in there and get past the guards and get out and get caught in an unauthorized area, get locked up, go to the hole with an unfinished tattoo or an unfinished eyeball. Dude comes down to get the second eyeball done, and as he's doing it, I guess something went wrong. The guy tells Damien, stop. This one hurts. You did something different. I ain't done nothing different. I did the same thing I did with the other one. You know what I mean? And everybody else's. Ain't nothing changed. Now, I'm telling you, man, something's wrong with this one. I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something wrong. This don't feel like when you did this one. This shit is excruciating. Well, bro, everything's working like it should be. I don't know what you want me to do. You want me to stop? Nah, man, go ahead. The next day, I look over and this dude is once again coming on our pod, and I'm thinking he's going back to Damien's cell to get some more of his eyeball done. He's got sunglasses on. Him and Damien get to arguing. I'm not in there. I don't hear the argument. I don't see the argument. I come in and I hear about the whole, hey, Damien, a dude from upstairs almost got to fight, and dude came in with sunglasses on. Why they almost get to fight? And he said Damien messed his eye up. What did he do? Are you talking about when he tattooed his eyeball? Yeah, he said he messed his eye up. I said, man, I knew this shit was going to end bad. Like, they're just sticking a needle in your eye. Sounds like a moronic move. Doesn't sound like something you should do. How does that not sound like top 10 things that's going to end bad, right? Eyeballs aren't meant to have needles put in it. I don't hear nothing else about it that day. Later that night, the sergeant comes in, makes an announcement. He has started to see people walking around with their eyeballs, tattooed. Whoever's tattooing eyeballs, whoever thinks they got the bright idea to be messing with the human eye, stop. Stop before you hurt somebody. We don't want a lawsuit on our hands. I know y'all guys can't be that bored and that dumb that you're willing to tattoo your eyeball and lose your sight. That's exactly what would end up happening. The following day, this guy's eye is crusty, infected, got all types of fluids growing out of it. He goes to an officer, tells him he needs to go to medical. This is your eye. You can't play around and just be like, man, we'll just see what happens with it. He's done let it go for about 2 days now. He goes to him, y'all caught me. You know what I mean? Yes, I was getting my eyeball tattooed. Yes, it went bad. Yes, I need to go to medical. Do whatever y'all can do. I just need to go to medical. He goes to medical. They determined that in the process of him pushing this needle into his eye, the needle had to be an extremely dull by now. He's used this on a bunch of other people. And every time he does, he pushes that tip through the layer of the eyeball, the needle gets more and more dull. And what happened was he couldn't get the needle to go in because it got dull or smooth. So he pushed a little bit harder. And when he pushed a little bit harder, he went too deep. He went past the first layer, which is supposed to go in between the first and second layer. And that's where you secrete the ink. He went past the first layer into the second layer and then injected the ink. We get another visit from the sergeant, maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks later. And he says, I'm going to do my best to quote it, to the man responsible for blinding that young man that went to the hole, if and when we catch you, we will put street charges on you. That is a form of maiming. That is a form of malicious wounding. You've altered someone's vision and the way they look for the remainder of their life. We don't care if they agreed to it. We don't care if they paid you to do it. DOC will press charges on you if you are caught trying to tattoo anybody's eyeball. Here's the crazy part. You would think that after that situation, after hearing that the man that's eyeball got damaged, is now blind in his eye. This guy went home not long after this, which made me question his sanity, why you would want to go home with black eyes, why you would do this right before going home. But he went home blind in one eye because he trusted just some guy locked up that could tattoo. He trusted Damien with sticking a syringe inside of his eye. Who knows what the long-term effect was when he got out? Who knows what happened when he went to his primary care doctor and they did blood work on him and said, hey, you got hepatitis. Sorry to tell you have HIV. Who knows what happened? That is definitely something you should never do. Something you should use your brain on. God gave you two perfectly good eyeballs. They're not black. You should not look like an alien. Outer space should not resemble your eyes. You should not look like you have two tiny black bowling balls in your eyes. The level of stupidity that surrounds you while locked up sometimes is beyond my reach. It's beyond. The most I did was a lot of tattoos, and I gauged my ears. We'll get into the gauging process while locked up. That was definitely one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. But seeing that guy get his eyeballs tattooed, and then seeing that other guy, I didn't see him, but knowing that he went on to go blind in one eye, these are the reasons you stay out of prison. This is just part of the stupidity you never want to fall victim to. Now, there's not a whole lot to do in jail. You spend a large portion of your time in a cell. The rest of the time you're politicking, kicking it with somebody that you come to be all right with. Might get your little group of guys. If you're gang related, you might hang out, with them dudes over there. But for the most part, they keep games on deck, some type of game. Chess, checkers, cards, pinochle. And the one thing people really don't talk about, dominoes. I played a lot of dominoes. I don't ever want to slam another domino on the table and scream domino again. Coming into the jail, I hadn't played dominoes like that in the past. I really hadn't. This is early on. Played a lot of cards. There's not many card games I don't know. I do the poker. I do dirty hearts. I do canasta. I do tonk. I do spades, pinochle. I played it all. I'm burnt out on cards. I get to the regional jail and they got dominoes. Oh snap! Dude just slamming the dominoes. Put me on. I want to learn. Now the problem is, every time I come out to the table, and dudes will leave the dominoes sitting out there, and I kind of found that strange. Why would you leave the dominoes out here? If you're a domino player, you would think you would take those in the cell with you so that somebody else didn't grab them up and you'd not be able to play dominoes. I realized real quick why the dominoes were sitting there. Because they were missing dominoes. You can't play dominoes if you ain't got all the dominoes. So what I did is I started gathering the left behind little brown containers that the dominoes go in, and the scrap dominoes here and there until I had a complete box. Kept that box for many, many, many years. Took it to prison with me and everything. But it still hadn't dawned on me, where the hell are the dominoes going? These are like ceramic almost. I believe they are ceramic. I've actually slammed them and they broke in half. I come to find out where the dominoes are going. There's a guy from Hopewell, and no disrespect to Hopewell, but all you Hopewell dudes know, if you're from Hopewell, Virginia, yeah, some of the, how do you explain these dudes? You ever been sitting in a bar or sitting somewhere and look at somebody and be like, damn, somebody's gonna, have a baby with him. Somebody is eventually gonna sleep with that man. Now picture his child. Hopewell's got a whole lot of those, right? Dude that lives out Hopewell, he's got a whole bunch of different dominoes. And I see him out there at the table, and this metal table's got this metal lip on it. It's got a, kind of rough edge on it. And he's taking these dominoes and he's filing them down. And as he's doing it, every now and then them on a crack. So he'll have to start all over. This dude's got several different attempts at hearts that look like a second grader drew them. He's got a little like the diamond on a playing card that looks like a second grader drew them. All these different attempts at making shapes, right? He locks in on one. He finally gets this heart. It's a pretty little heart made out of a domino. Wouldn't be long after that. I'm thinking, all right, he's just trying to be nifty. He's trying to be crafty. He's just bored. He's passing time. He's whittling, whatever you want to call it, with these dominoes. His celly would be the one to tell everybody, hey, somebody needs to tell that man. I try to tell him, he won't listen. Well, what'd he do? He needs to go to medical. What'd he do? What, y'all get to fighting or something? Did you crack his head? Like, did he come in with an STD? Did he contract an STD? Like, why does he need to go to medical? Nah, he tried to do the implant and it ain't taken. First time I'd heard of this. What is the implant? You ain't heard of the implant yet? A bunch of dudes has done it. No, I didn't. I haven't heard of the implant. I wouldn't ask you, what's the implant? What are you talking about? He's like, that's where you take your junk, hold it in your hand, stretch it out, cut a section of the top layer of the skin, and then slide this implant in underneath the layer of skin and above the meat. Come again? He did what? Yeah, man, he took his package, his junk, his D, and on the top of it, he cut a small slit in the skin, slid this thing in, and with the other dudes that had healed up, from what I'm hearing, a bunch of these dudes had these implants. Now they're going to go home, show off to the girls. Dudes were doing this, and some of these dudes that got carried away to where it's almost like they had put a necklace on their junk. You know what I mean? They done did the hearts, the spade, the diamond, all that, all the way around it. You know what I mean? The club, all that, all the way around the junk. Slit after slit, they're sliding these pieces in and letting it heal. This dude's shit gets infected. Not the cleanest dude, not to mention he's out there molding it off the side of the countertop. A lot of dudes would use the side of this shelf. We got this metal like shelf that you sit at and write letters and stuff in your cell. A lot of dudes would use that because they could clean it with soap, make sure it's clean. You're out there engraving this thing off the side of this metal table so that you can implant it into your body. 3-4 days goes by, dude gets sick. Like sick, and he's sick from the infection. He doesn't want to go to the guards because once they see this, they're going to take it as, this dude's nuts. Like, why would you do something like this? Like, you've got to be insane or just a whole complete idiot. You are a moron, a whole entire moron. Mouthpiece, SpongeBob helmet, the whole nine. You're a full-grown moron. He eventually has to go to medical because the dude is getting sick. His package is all infected. He showed several dudes. They telling me about it. I'm like, I don't want to see that. No. Well, I don't want to see nobody else's junk to begin with. But yeah, but he wants to know what he can do. What he could do is probably try to get that thing out and never attempt that again. He went off to medical. They put him in the hole when he came out of medical. Said he was trying to harm himself, which I guess you got to be special to do something like that to yourself. Guys were taking these ink pens and getting this little ball out the back of it. It's like a click pen. It's got a little round ball. They were taking these ink pens. They would steal them off the guard's desk and pop these little balls out and then put slits all over their meat, their package. So it'd be like, you ever seen a ribbed condom, how it's got those little bumps on it? They would insert tons of these things and just hope that it doesn't get infected. First of all, you've got to try to explain to a woman when you get out that you did this to yourself. She's probably not going to believe you. She's going to think you were in there letting someone else hold your junk. Secondly, that is an area you shouldn't be risking an infection. You know what they do when things get really, really, really infected? They cut them off. There ain't no way in hell I'm ever going to do anything that can cause an infection. I'd heard of dudes piercing the tip. Nope, not going to do it. I heard of dudes pretty much inserting any shape you could imagine. Different size balls into the skin. Not Jay. I need this. When I go home one day, I'm going to put this bitch back to work. Works very well, and I need to use it. I don't need to be explaining why I got a crooked heart, sitting lopsided, with discolored skin from where the implant didn't take it and got infected. I'm not trying to explain when I come home why it looks like a dog bit it because it got infected and they had to cut a chunk out. Or why I'm a whole bunch of inches shorter than I was when I came in. A whole entire 3/4 is now gone because I wanted to be an idiot and try to implant something into a place things shouldn't go. The list of crazy things I've seen guys do while locked up goes on and on. These are definitely some of the more serious things, the things that really stand out to me. Like I told you on the other story, dude, had me stab him in his shoulder. Thought that was crazy, but looking back on today's stories, I think today's definitely top that event. Stay out of lockup. Don't find yourself in a position to where you're searching for things to do because you've gotten yourself locked up and you're now bored. If you do find yourself locked up, make sure you know who your tattoo man is. Get your own ink. Get your own gun. I would advise against it. If you cross-contaminate, you can get sick. You can get a very bad infection. Look up what staph infection is if you don't know. Look up what MRSA is if you don't know. That is a risk you take. Hepatitis C runs rampant. I've been tested. I've been blessed. I was always smart enough to have my own stuff whenever getting tattooed to avoid stuff like that. But my advice is you avoid lockup altogether. And please, once again, do not attempt any of these things at home. Leave it on YouTube. Leave the stories for what they are. Don't go out and try to do none of this. Don't hurt yourself. But look, man, I'm going to jump out, get back to work. Anyways, these jails, detention centers, these prisons, these facilities, they're all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep you entertained. Are you not entertained? And as always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. And to all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. And y'all know how we do. Salute. These dudes are idiots, man. I can't even fathom.